Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife video for you. Today we have my top 15 gents carries, or office carries, whatever you want to call it. Notice I said gents, not gentlemen or gentle ladies. You can be either way. My 2.5% of women viewers out here, this still applies to you guys too. A lot of these knives apply just because they're probably going to fit in your pants pocket a lot better than a lot of other stuff. I feel so bad for women that with the tiny little pockets in the jeans, it's kind of ridiculous. Feminism, I don't know what that was, but yeah, gents or office carries, offices, remember those things we used to go to? Yeah, this is being recorded in late March of 2020, so a lot of us not going to the office right now. I don't ever go to an office. I work at home. I do have a boss and everything, but I do most things remotely, so I don't really have to go into an office, but I am in the entertainment industry. Another thing that's not happening right now, but you know, when I walk into a club, I feel naked without a knife, so I still like to have a knife in my pocket. It's just, you know, knife guy reflex thing, but I don't want anything too crazy. It's going to freak anybody out, so I have a lot of them. That's why this list is 15 instead of 10. I tried to limit it to 10, and I just couldn't quite pull it off. I could limit it to 10 of just the ones that I carry the most, but I wanted to give you guys some other, you know, more budgety sort of options and stuff as well that are still really nice, so I added a few to it. So I apologize, I'm not sticking to the top 10 rules, but it is 15. But yeah, I don't carry a knife on stage. We have security for that. But it's just, you know, I have it in my pocket when I walk into a green room. You don't want to be that guy that walks in with the big giant knife in your pocket and somebody notices it, and then you're that guy, and then they tell all the other clubs and everybody knows about it. And I'm already that guy because I have this channel and everybody knows about it. I don't hide it or anything. So I'm already that guy, so I don't want to walk with a big giant knife. And people often ask me, hey, what kind of knife you got in your pocket? And I don't want to pull out something silly. So I try and carry pretty discreet sort of things, which brings us to what makes a gent's knife? Well, number one, like I said, discreet. It's nice if it has a deep carry clip. It's nice if there's not, you know, half an inch of knife sticking out of your pocket. It's nice if it isn't, you know, bright orange or something like that. Not stabby is nice. Some of these are pretty stabby, but it can be overcome by number three. But yeah, something that isn't going to be super intimidating to other people. And number three, it's just got to look classy. I think that's the number one thing here. It just has to look classy. Some knives on here are a bit stabby, like I said, but they just look fancy. And that, to me, does kind of overcome what people think. If it's got wood handles, for example, they're like, oh, that's just, I'm used to seeing that. My grandpa carried a knife with wood handles, which grandpa knives work great for this too. Cases and stuff like that, your traditionals. There's none on this list because that's kind of not my jam, and these are all things that I own. So yeah, it just has to look classy, you know, some nice carbon, you know, some Damascus, something like that. Something that just makes it look expensive and classy. You don't look like you want to hurt anybody. You look like you just care about nice things. So let's get going. These are in absolutely no particular order at all. This is not like a 1 through 15 list or anything like that. So let's get started. I have prices in front of me. I'm going to try and remember them. Every one that I have reviewed, I will link to down below. That's going to take a minute because there's 15 of them, but let's get going. First up, you can't put a list of gents knives without listing the one that it's named after. This is the Drop Ferrum Forge Gent, or I guess it's named, the Gent is named after that category. Really nice design, distributed by Drop. This is an older one, so it says Mass Drop on it. Not inexpensive, or you're pretty inexpensive, not expensive, I should say, pretty inexpensive. S35 VN steel, nice titanium liners with these overlays. This one is a bit of a hybrid. They make a version that's about $100 and a version that's $120 with fancier scales on it, but the fancier version comes with a stonewash blade. This is the cheaper one that has the satin blade with the wood handles. I think it looks the classiest. I wish they offered it this way. This was one that I swapped with somebody. But anyway, great knife, made by We. The most discreet pocket clip. I mean, this thing completely disappears in your pocket. It looks like a pen. It doesn't even look like a knife remotely. Great ergos, and not a tiny little knife at all. You're getting a pretty good 3-inch blade out of it. It's very usable. Pretty darn good knife just to have in general, not even to mention the gents thing. It's just, but it is kind of the epitome of a modern gents knife. And again, $100 or $120 when they're available. They're not available on drop right now at the time I'm recording this, but they keep these back in stock pretty regularly. I'd imagine you're going to see them again in fairly short order. I try to make sure that whenever I do these, it's knives you can buy. There are a couple of exceptions on here that you can't get, but are pretty readily available in the second market. So let's get going to the next one. I guess we will do the Spyderco Kuchi. This is one that I've been using a whole lot lately because I was very late to the Kuchi party. Sounds like a lot of fun. But it is undeniably a bit stabby looking, but it also looks very classy. And I've taken this out in front of people. It is one of the knives that's been in my pocket when somebody said, "What's in your pocket?" And everybody said, "Whoa, cool, that's awesome." Nobody was really that freaked out by it. Compression lock, and it has this cool little wheel flipper. And it's just a joy to use. It's very fidgety and fun. If you're sitting, in your cubicle that nobody's looking at or hiding in the bathroom, it's something that's fun and fidgety to play with. I do like it a whole lot, but it's pretty good. Is it going to get a call from Karen at HR? Probably not, but every office has a Karen, and you don't want to talk to Karen. Karen's a pain in the ass. It's just a fact. I'm sorry if your name's Karen, but if you're Karen and you work in HR, you're probably kind of mean to people, at least in my experience. But anyway, $140 for a Taichung Spyderco. Not a bad price at all. Very comfortable to use. You can definitely fit all 4 fingers on it. A bit on the big side for these kind of knives, but all these aren't, not all these are small knives. I don't think that matters a ton. I've definitely pulled out some big knives that people find less intimidating than some of the smaller ones. So yeah, the Kuchi, awesome choice. And like I said, late to the party on this one, but it has really grown on me very, very quickly. Next up, we will bring out, why not this one? We have kind of in that same category, a bit stabby, but pretty small. The Boost Blades Mini Smoke. I think the Boost Blade Smoke is probably a bit big for most people, and that's why I have the Mini Smoke now instead of the Smoke, because the full-size Smoke, it is a bit big and stabby for office carry. But the Mini, not at all. Really nice steel. I think this was the M390, full titanium. I really love the cutouts on it. It's just a beautiful thing, and people just look at it and think, wow, this is really cool. Another kind of unique locking mechanism is a front flipper. So if you're going to hand it to somebody, they're not going to be able to open it. Same with the Kuchi, but I don't think that's the end of the world. But just a really classy, cool looking knife. Not particularly deep carry, if it has one downside. And the other downside, I guess, that would be one of 2 downsides. Their downside is, this one's kind of hard to get. They were $220, which for the price, I don't think was bad. Again, made by we, or for the availability and for what you're getting, I don't think it was that bad. But unfortunately, yeah, you're going to be looking on the secondary for these. On the upshot, I looked them up before I started doing this video. I found a few that were still at the 220 or a little bit less. It doesn't seem to have shot up crazily in value like the full-size Smoke does. Maybe it's a bit less desirable. Maybe is what that means, but that's fine with me. Really do love it. Again, very fun to fidget with. It has a front flipper. You can also Spidey flick it, all that stuff. It has a pretty small opening hole because it's a small knife, but you get used to it. Really love the Mini Smoke. Very cool knife, and it's got an Australian Shepherd on it, which I had an Australian kettle dog, so it's close enough. So I always like that about them. Next up, what are we going to bring out? We will bring out, let's stick with the front flipper theme. There are 2 on here. This is much more budget-friendly option. The CVV McKenzie. Now, this is the Damascus one that costs about $90, but you can also get it in just a regular D2 for $68. Really, really, really fun front flipper to play with. Honestly, 220 versus 68, these are both pretty equally easy to open and fidget and play with. If you are looking for your first front flipper, the McKenzie is always a great choice. Elijah Isham design, it's beautiful. And even without the Damascus, I don't think it's that intimidating because it's fairly small. It just has that Isham look. Just looks like, he just cares about this. At least that's what I hope people think when they see it. But that's what I think when I look at it. Deep carry clip, again, still a little bit sticking out. Does come in a few different colors, some more discreet than others, but I really like it. with the Damascus blade, which is mostly 9CR18. I just like that steel better than D2. I didn't care that much about the pattern, but it does look really freaking good, I do have to say. And I just love the McKenna. I just think it's a great knife. And it's named after my daughter. It isn't. It's named after somebody else, but that's also my daughter's name. She spells it correctly. They spell it wrong. But other than that, you know, really, really cool knife. Really do like the McKenna. Next up, let's bring out a Benchmade, but probably not the one you're going to expect, because this is, I think, I've said it before in other videos. You're going to expect it if you've watched my other videos, because I mention this all the time. But I think the most underrated thing that Benchmade makes, and that would be the Valet. M390 steel, nice deep carry clip, very good size, very slim knife. Kind of the epitome of a gent's carry. This version is $175, but Shinola, that makes watches and other kinds of cool fancy stuff, did a version with wood scales, which is even better. And those are about $200 if you can find them. They went pretty quick, but I just really like this, even in its standard form. I thought about dyeing these scales black, or maybe even sending them off and having somebody make custom scales for me, because I just like this knife that much that I kind of even want to class it up a bit more. There's nothing wrong with the gray, but if I could class it up just that little bit better, you know, put some nice micarta or something on it, or wood or whatever, I just think it would be even that much better. But just, it's everything you want from a Benchmade. It's got all the axis lock, fidgety things. The thumb studs are a bit small, but because I'm having a really hard time showing how fidgety it is when I have this thing in my way. I really placed my tripod very precariously today, but I love the Valet, and it's M390 for $175. As Benchmades go, you know, it's a pretty darn good value. Yeah, just be gentle with it, Brian, and then it won't bounce off the stops, you moron. But really, really cool knife. And again, nice deep carry clip, a bit big. That clip doesn't need to be that big, and it doesn't take a normal Benchmade pattern. It is a different pattern, but really cool knife. Highly, highly, highly underrated Benchmade. Go check these out. $175 or $200 and up if you can find one of the Shinola limited edition ones on the secondary market. Next up, again in no particular order, we have, this is another a much more budget option, and one that is kind of new to me. It took a long time to get. I did ask for one of these as soon as I heard they were coming out. It got held up in customs and stuff. I finally got one, and I've not done a full review on it yet, but it is the Real Steel G-Slip. And as you can probably tell, it is a slip joint. It's fairly large, but very slim. It's a slip joint. It's not going to go kabang when you open it up. It's not going to intimidate anybody. Just a classy, classy, classy looking knife. And $60. Really nice deep carry clip. And these wire clips, you'll see a few knives on here with the wire clips. People don't think about that as being a knife. They think it's some kind of weird pocket organizer, or, you know, pen or something like that. VG10 steel, perfectly decent steel, and it's a very blocky handle, but it's extremely comfortable. The back spring is plenty tough enough that you don't have any like lack of confidence in using it or anything like that. And just a really, really cool knife for $60. So that's kind of a spoiler to when you see the full review. It's very positive. I really do enjoy the G-Slip a whole lot. Really nice knife, and great gents carry. You know, $60. It's a little cheaper, but they don't have to be expensive. But yeah, I really do like it a whole lot. Hardly any downsides to that for what it is. Next up, we will do not in the budget category. This is about $210. The TRM Nerd, the Three Rivers Manufacturing Nerd. This one is a bit smaller, so it can fit in that fifth pocket, which makes it even more discreet if you want to do that. I don't think that's a requirement of a gent's knife. I don't feel like I need to completely hide it, but it is nice if you want to, you can. And just this marble carbon is just so nice looking, and it's all nicely contoured, 20 CV steel. It's so small, it's not going to freak anybody out. It is a liner lock. You can flick it and all that stuff. But you can also just roll it out, which is actually technically what it was designed for. That the logo that's milled in there is meant to be a place to put your thumb. It's not a hole all the way through. You can see on the other side, it doesn't even have the logo in it, but you can get your thumb in it and roll it out. That's what it was designed for. Nice deep carry clip, pretty good ergos, and it's TRM, so you know it's sharp as the dickens out of the box, and just a beautiful fifth pocket knife. Absolutely. I said it in my top whatever, fifth pocket knives, that it's probably like the finest one you can buy, and I still stand by that. I don't know if it's not my favorite, but it is probably the nicest one you can buy. And when you take it out, it just looks so classy. It's very nice. Now let's go more into the true budget sort of range. The Kershaw Atmos, Sinkovich design, really nice looking knife, and maybe the profile's a bit stabby, but it's not a big knife at all. Nice deep carry clip. I wish it didn't say Kershaw on it, but most people aren't going to know what that is. But still, it'd be nice if it had no name on it whatsoever. That would ramp it up a little bit. But this is only, what, 33 to 35, depending on which color you choose. And it's very inexpensive, so you don't have to be rich to look classy. Maybe you bought your suit at Sears instead of Armani, but it's still, it's fine. And I just really like the Atmos. 8CR13 MOV want steel, but does that matter as much in a knife like this? No, if you're carrying it to the office and stuff, you're probably not putting it through a whole lot of hard use, unless Karen messes something up again and wants you to do some big giant project that you weren't expecting to do. Freaking Karen. But no, it's a really cool knife, and I do love the Atmos a lot. It's one of my favorite things that Kershaw's made in a long time, even despite the steel. It's just a great design. Lightweight as can be, too, so slacks, anything, don't worry about it. It's going to be completely fine. Next up, we'll do another Benchmade, and this one's a classic. And if you are a true knife guy and you just want to carry one of the all-time classics in your pocket, you can't do better than a 940. Pretty big knife, absolutely for sure. Karen might not like it, but it is very, very slim. Nice. I put a deep carry clip on. I put a bug out clip on it. I think that's the best way to carry a 940. Some people disagree. I much more prefer the deep carry clips, especially in 940s, than anything else in the bug out one. This knife is so light, especially, this is the 940-1. This one's pretty expensive. You're looking at like $275. It's S90V carbon. But I think the best option, other than this, for a kind of gentleman's carry 940 is actually the cheapest one. The 940-2 is only about $175, still with really good steel. And it just is mostly black. It does have some bright acid green standoffs, but you don't really notice those, when you're just carrying it around. But I still think, no matter what the materials, the 940 just looks classy. This just looks like a knife. It doesn't look like a weapon. It just looks like a knife. And I've never had anybody be intimidated by a 940, ever. It's just a really good looking knife. I think the 940-1 is your best option in this, or maybe one of the gold class ones or something like that are God knows how much money. But I just think it's a really good looking knife, and very slim, can carry it in anything, weighs almost nothing. Not inexpensive, but a really nice gentleman's carry sort of knife. And it's a knife guy knife. If you're talking to your wife's coworker at the office party and he's a knife guy, he's like, oh, cool, you got a 940. He's going to know what that is. What do we have left here? We're going to let's bring out another Spyderco. We have the Spyderco Chaparral. This happens to be the carbon fiber one. The Chaparral lightweight looks a bit more utilitarian, but there are several versions of the Chaparral with some really cool. There's a Raffia Noble, which would be an even better choice for this, but that's not the one I have. I have the Peel Ply carbon version. There's also like the Sun and Moon ones they've come out with that look really nice and really classy. I just think it's a very classic looking knife, and the ergos are great. Super slicey blade, perfect for that kind of stuff that you're going to be doing with a knife like this. It's a very thin blade stock, slicey as all get out, and just very comfortable in the hand, and it carries pretty discreetly. Again, we have the wire clip, a little bit sticking out, but not much. I do kind of wish this wire clip wasn't black. I wish it was like just a regular satin or something like that. But I do really, really enjoy the Chaparral in all of its forms, but especially just this basic. This is the OG, you know, the peel ply carbon again, Taichung, Taiwan, quality and everything. And it's XHP steel, really cool steel that you don't see as much anymore. And these are about 140 bucks, same as the Kuchi. So, yeah, check one of these out. The Chaparral is just, I think, one of the best things Spyderco's made in an extremely long time. Oh, what are we going to do next? We will do another Ferrum Forge. There's a few Ferrum Forges on here. Those handsome boys sure do like to make their knives that look and work as handsome as they are. They're good-looking guys. I'm sorry. I'm perfectly confident in my sexuality to say those Ferrum Forge brothers, good-looking boys. And apparently they like to dress up every now and then because they make some really nice gents knives. That was a weird, long ramble. Anyway, this is the Ferrum Forge Mini Archbishop. This is the one that you can only get from the Ferrum Forge website. It's 95 bucks with the carbon fiber on it. Or for 75 bucks, you can get them with G10. No matter which one you choose, deep carry clip, a little bit sticking out, not a whole lot. And just for the size, very comfortable to handle. And it's just, because of its size, it's just not intimidating. But you can get all 4 fingers on it and actually use it like a proper knife when you have to. I think that's probably my favorite thing about it. Not super fidgety, but you can Spidey flick it. You can regularly flick it, all that stuff. It's not particularly drop shutty because that blade is so thin, so light. But with a little wrist flick, you can get it too. Good jimping on it. I mean, this is a small, fancy-looking knife, especially in this carbon, that you can just use it as an EDC. It's a great freaking knife. Really like the Mini Archbishop a whole lot, and yeah, I'm glad I have one of the fancier ones, but the G10 ones are cool too. Next up, we have a pretty new one, actually a very recent addition. I just did a review on it the other day. This is the Knives MRF. Even closed, you can see. This is a full-size knife. It definitely is. 3.5-inch blade, all that stuff. But it is sort of a slip joint. Marcus Reichert Design, he actually was nice enough to comment on my story and kind of correct me a little bit. I called it a slip joint. That's what everybody else calls it as well. I'm not the only one to call it that. But he corrected me and said it is a Cran Force, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, a French lock design, which is kind of like a slip joint, but it locks more like a lock back. So that's why you hear it like snap in and click in like that. So when your finger is on it, it is holding it in place even more so than a slip joint would be. And even if your finger's not on it, man, this thing has a stiff lock, absolutely for sure. It does have a half stop, but as I said in the review, I don't close it one-handed because you have to push so hard to break past that initial lock that I don't trust the half stop. I'm sure it works, but I'm not that brave. But it is kind of a two-hand open, two-hand close, and despite its size, I don't think this is going to freak anybody out. The shape of it is very, very, traditional, very, very like something that people are used to seeing, and it is freaking gorgeous. Nice, discreet pocket clip. Awesome knife. Ergos on this are fantastic. S35 VN and 175 bucks. Not bad at all, especially when you have one in your hand and you can just see how well they're made and just how pretty they are. This is well worth every penny. And great design. I really, really enjoyed it. If you just want a full-size knife that ain't gonna freak anybody out, I don't think you can really go wrong for 175 bucks for the Knives MRF. Run a little low here. We're gonna do next up. This is one that unfortunately it's another one that it's kind of hard to get. I'm sorry, but I had to put it on the list. I think maybe there's a few of the blems, I think, and you can find them on the secondary and stuff. But this is the Aloni Knives Goat, pretty new company. This one happens to be made by Tuya. He has some new ones coming out from Riyadh and stuff. Great dude, and just a very simple, nice design. I really like this is the blue marble carbon, so you can see just some little hints of blue in there. I almost went with the regular, but I just gotten another knife that was like that, so I want to get something a little bit different. Not a deep carry clip, but really close to it. And I love the pocket clip of this. One of my favorite things. It is a milled titanium pocket clip, but it acts more like a spring clip. So it works great in slacks and stuff. It's not heavy. It's not huge. And it's just so nice looking. And again, a very traditional blade chip that people are used to seeing. So I don't think it's really going to freak anybody out too much. And just, I really like this. I may put this in my pocket as soon as I'm done with this review. I haven't carried it in a while, but I really do love the goat. It is pretty darn great, for absolutely sure. About 220 bucks when they were new. I don't know what they're going for in the secondary. I only found a couple. The couple I found were going for the same price, but keep an eye out for them, and keep an eye out just on Aloni, period. A new company, they're going to be making more. And again, there'll be a link to the review down below and all that if you want to find out more about them. Next up, another Ferrum Forge. It is the third one. This is the biggest one. This is the newest one. This is the Ferrum Forge Exec. Again, as the name would indicated for exactly what we're talking about. It's a big knife, for absolutely sure. It is another full, 3.5-inch knife, but it is so pretty. It comes in different colors. This is the bronze one. All of them have the carbon inlays. And I think they did some custom ones, but I think those are all long since gone. $275, not inexpensive, not a deep carry clip, but it just is so classy looking. And it is definitely for that kind of guy that you want something that looks very classy for the office, but you still want a real, titanium frame lock, flipper knife. This is definitely that. Karen might not like it because of the size, but I think she'll be okay. It's really, really pretty. I just love this thing. And a great blade on it as well. Really thin behind the edge, really super slicey. Just a really cool knife. Yeah, $275, not cheap, but I really enjoy it a whole lot. 20 CV steel. I really enjoy it. I just love their new, the mini Archbishop had it too, but I didn't point it out. I just like that new little shield thing they're doing there. I think that's pretty neat. Okay, lastly, this is another budget option, and I think this is probably the one that's probably the biggest surprise on here, but especially in this color scheme, if you can find one, I think the mini CGRB feldspar. The big one's a bit big and still looks a bit just like a, hunting knife or something, just because of the size, but I really love the feldspar D2 steel. This with the brown scales especially. The brown scales look almost kind of like wood. Again, I say wood calms people a lot, I think. This, kind of brass ring around the pivot. It's just a really classy looking knife. Neat, nice deep carry clip. It is right hand, left hand. And they are, what, 35 bucks. And it's just great action. For a budget option, again, if you're wearing a Sears suit instead of Armani, awesome choice. The feldspar it's really comfortable in the hand. It's also just a very capable knife, and it's nice to have. Most of these that I've picked here are pretty capable because that's something that I was thinking about it. But it's nice to know this is just like a real good just user knife. I don't know if something happens and you just actually have to do some proper work. This will take it. Really cool knife, the CGRB feldspar, again, about 35 bucks. So that is it. That is the extent of my list. I apologize if your name is Karen. It's just a name that I chose, but I think everybody knows what I meant. So and we had a little bit of fun here. We have to have fun at these times. I hope everybody's safe. Wash your damn hands. I've been Brian. Have a good one.